Hey, welcome to Mike the Baptist. Welcome, H.D. Jones.
Hey.
Good welcome, Jason Ricciardi.
What's up?
What'd you say, H? I stepped on you.
I don't know.
I don't either, but I'm sure it was profound because you are a preacher.
Right?
Yep. Pastor, preacher. Does it matter to you what people call you?
Bishop.
Jason, does the word preacher bother you guys at all?
No. But the words do have different emphases.
Emphases.
Yeah.
That's a modern way of talking.
No, it's the plural of emphasis.
Oh, speaking of that, there are people on TV that say processes. Is that correct, or are they just trying to be fancy? Instead of processes, they say processes. I don't think that's right. I think you're just making that up.
You sure it's not
prostheses? What?
Prostheses?
No, that's a different thing.
Okay. Welcome to Mike the Baptist. Welcome to Mike the Baptist.
Yes, okay, and so
we digressed real quick.
We didn't take no time at all on that one. Welcome to the program. We are going to talk about some things that, loosely connected to the Baptist thing and all that, but which is in the title. I'm Mike the Baptist. Nice to have you with us. www.mikethebaptist.com. You will see pictures of all of us on there on videos and stuff, and you can go watch old videos. Connect to all the podcasts, apps.
Buy some stuff.
Buy some stuff. You can get you a shirt or a hoodie or a coffee mug or something. Maybe caps soon. We'll see what happens.
We pride ourselves in high price and low quality.
Exactly. And stuff like that. Comments at mikethebaptist.com if you want to send us an email. And we'll either get back to you or we won't, but we would like to read them anyway, just see what you have to say. So, okay, it's all the housekeeping I have that I know of. We're going to move right into the Front Porch visit, which is last week we talked about funerals, and it was just really exciting. I don't know what's going to happen with this one. This one may just be odd, but odd's okay. We can do that. We were talking about John the Baptist being kind of odd, and I got to thinking while y'all were over there talking about that, I'm thinking, this is called Mike the Baptist, and are they going to fix and turn that on me here for this? But you didn't, so
we missed an opportunity.
You missed an opportunity, but anyway, I was thinking about that. Why did I bring that up? Oh, because this Front Porch visit may just be odd, but that's fine because most of you people listening are a little odd yourself, so it should work out. Correct? I'm just saying. I don't think I spoke untruth there. Today on the Front Porch, I would like to us to talk about things we do when we get checked into a hotel. Everybody does this, whether they subconsciously are doing it and they don't know they're doing it. But when you get to a hotel, there's some sort of a weird excitement about pulling up to a hotel and getting your stuff out and going in and checking your room and then finding out which room you got. And there's some sort of a weird excitement to that every time you do it. I don't think I'm making this up. I think we're all kind of like that. But I was curious to know what you guys do when you first get checked in and you get to that room and you dump all your stuff in the room, and so you're there. So I'll start us. Mine's going to be boring, which oddly enough, my Front Porch things sometimes are oddly boring, but that's okay. That's okay. I need the break. Like when I get to a hotel and I go through all that excitement of getting checked in, I find this is my room, whether I'm happy with it or not, which sometimes you're not happy with where they land you. But when I set everything down, like one of the first things I want to do is I want to go explore the building. I want to see what's in that building. I want to know where the hallways go. I want to know what their exercise room looks like. I'm not going to use it, but I want to see what it looks like. So that's one of the first things I try to get around to doing. And if we're traveling and my grandkids are with me, this is all an adventure for us. We go, see what's there and see where we can get a snack later and all that. But I just think that's something fun to do. I don't, jump on the bed, like you might think would be one of your first things you do. I want to explore. I want to see. And also, I get up, like recently I've been getting up at 3. I get up before humans do for some reason. I just get up.
I got your text message at 4.
Yes. Front porch topics. I waited until 4.
I was like,
thought,
who's texting me at 4 a.m.? Luckily, I was awake.
well, I could have sent those at 3:15.
Okay,
but I waited.
Thank you for your.
What were you doing up at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, he's getting there too. At 4 was my go-to time for years, but now past few weeks it's 3, and I'm going like, what is going on here? But
Well, you're in luck because eventually, within the next month or so, the time will go back, so it'll be 4.
oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll oddly feel better about myself for a minute, but then I'll realize it's really 3. Why are we talking about that? Oh, because I sent this topic to you. But so the other thing is, since I get up so early, when I'm traveling with people, it's like I'm at least 4, sometimes 5 hours by myself before anybody else is up. So I'm looking for something to do. So I'm kind of scouting the building out. I'm finding my place that I'm going to go drink coffee. I'm finding out when they open for breakfast because I'll be one of the first ones there to eat a little bit. And so I'm scoping all that out. But that's what I do when I get to a hotel. It doesn't matter where I am. I like.
So
to go
you got to
do
quickly tell the story about you and your grandkids dropping things off the balcony and the inside of that hotel.
Yes. So we do 2 things in recent years. When we get in an elevator, we are the stoic, proper family as we step in an elevator and turn around and face the outside world. But when those doors close, myself and my grandkids break out into dance, and we dance until the doors open.
There you go.
Up, and then we straighten right back up.
Are there other people in the elevator with you?
We usually don't do it when there are other people. It's just like when it's just us.
I think you should wait until there are other people in the elevator.
Okay, that's a good
because
idea.
they are captive. They cannot do anything. It looks like a normal elevator ride, and then you start dancing.
Why did I not think of this?
I don't know.
Thank you,
I thought that's where you were going.
I'll report back to you because this is we're going to Washington, D.C. this week.
Oh, that'll be a great place to do it, too.
Yes, exactly. One of the most bizarre places you could do it, and that's when it'll happen. The other thing H was talking about, we in a year or so ago, we went to an Embassy Suites, and we had a room like at the very top on one corner. And so during the day, the kids and I went out and what did we do? No, we didn't go out anywhere. We went down to the lobby, to the desk, and got a sewing kit to repair stuff. We took that sewing kit back up to the room, and we took some Kleenex out of the bathroom and some thread, and we made some little parachutes, and then we tied something on the bottom of it.
Floss?
I don't remember what it was. Something with just a little bit of weight. But then we started going out over the balcony, and there were like hundreds of people there eating and doing, and we had to wait until there was not 100. There was like 15 people left. And then one of the kids took their phone across the opening there to another floor to film what was about to happen. And then one of the others had another camera somewhere else. And then my son, who was in on the project, was at the very bottom filming up. So we waited until we thought we could get away with it. And then one of the grandkids and myself slipped out there, nobody was looking, and we threw our parachute over the balcony, and then we watched in delight as it made this great descent all the way down to where my son was waiting, and they were filming from and so it landed down there, and we retrieved it, and then that was it.
That's kind of like a Hallmark moment. That makes your heart warm.
Yeah, it was like, and it was fun watching the grandkids, because they were getting away with something, and I was too. I still kind of like that feeling myself about getting away with something, but it was fun. Nobody noticed us. There were a couple of people eating down there that kind of were watching what we were doing and saw it come down, but we didn't get in trouble, and all was well.
Very cool.
Jason, what do you do?
You want to come to me last? I've got a funny story to tell you.
HD, look, I trust it when one of you two says.
Right,
I trust it.
So, a couple of things that it's kind of scary, but I'm kind of like you. I want to make sure where we are and where's the pool and all that kind of stuff. But depending on how we travel too, like if it's just Susan and I, like usually one bag's like, okay, just take off and go to the room. If it's the entourage, it's like, okay, scout. Somebody go make sure the room is okay before we get all the clampets going up to this room, because we had this experience. We went to Chattanooga one time, had all 3 of our kids. They were small, drag all the stuff out, and had to walk a pretty good ways. We get into this room, guys, and it was like Smokey and the Bandits had been in there all night, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was terrible. I mean, we couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
So then you had to drag all your crap and go all the way back up there and, tell them. One time we checked in and like the fire alarm was going off in just this one room. I mean, just screaming. And I'm like, okay. So we kind of have that, go check and see to make sure the room is okay. But yeah, the other thing is, I got to get out and explore, see where everything is, snacks and all that good stuff. But the other thing I like to do is check out the fan in the bathroom. That's a key in my family, because you got to be able to know that when somebody is sleeping just a few feet from the bathroom,
right.
You got to know, what kind of decibel levels and smells can be escaping from here, because it could be bad. So we definitely check out.
So you got to make sure the fan.
Got to check out the fan. Yeah, absolutely.
I knew something was going to come out of this, and there it is. But that makes sense. It actually does. And my family transformed over the years from just taking what a hotel gave you. If the room ain't right, you're going to move me or I'm leaving. So, and they usually comply. They usually work with.
Sometimes you go to these weird places. Like I remember back when we were doing youth ministry, and I got in this hotel room, and it was just the weirdest setup ever. But it was like my head was right by the bathroom door, and I had all these boys in there, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Go to work.
Yeah, it's bad.
Did you just crack the toilet?
Gosh, it's awful. But anyway.
Okay, Jason, so you get to follow the bathroom fan stories.
As a student minister, when I myself am going to a hotel, it usually means that I am taking a group with me.
Right.
So I'm the first thing I usually want to do is like stretch, because it's usually a long trip with a lot of loud students. Mm-hmm. God bless their souls. They're so precious. And then usually I get to the room and I want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I don't get a chance to do that. I'm very boring when it comes to that. But so my funny stories are, I just want to just related to hotel stories, whatever. So when I was younger, we went to a hotel and we were staying with actually, I guess it was a motel. That's the one with the doors to the outside, right?
Yeah.
So we go to a motel and we're in a bad section of town, and my grandpa has like insomnia or something. And for whatever reason, the place that we were at, the key card was plugged in. You had to have the key card in the slot for the air conditioner to work. And we're in a bad section of town. So my grandpa he gets it and he starts walking at like 3 a.m. And he's just walking around town, and it starts getting hotter and hotter and hotter in our room. We were all sharing a room together, and it sounds like my grandma is dying. I mean, like she's just snoring super loud. I couldn't get to sleep to start the night, but I thought it was my grandpa, but then my grandpa left, and it was my grandma. I mean, it was like really bad. So there's that story, but the one that I really want to share is good times, right? So when my wife and I were first married, it was within the first year of marriage, because my wife was very pregnant with our first daughter, Zoe. And we went to one of her relatives' weddings in Florida. It's summer, and she is very pregnant, and she is not tall, and we had a big child. So she is very pregnant, and it's just
all the visual images swirling around here.
You look at her from the back, looks fine. Look at her from the front, it looks like she is stealing watermelons. Like she was very pregnant. Sarah, I love you. I apologize if you listen to this later. But anyway,
thanks for your sacrifice.
I apologize again.
Sarah.
We get to this hotel that we're at, and it has a button, eye level, no markings, and it's not encased. And we're at this whole complex, and so I say out loud, I wonder what that button does. And they're like, don't push that button, Jason. I'm like, no, I mean, like, it can't be anything bad because there's no markings. And if it was like something you shouldn't push, they wouldn't put it at eye level, and they would have encased it and like made it inaccessible. And they would have said something about what it does. I'm like, I wonder what it does. I mean, like, do you push that and the door opens? And they're like, Jason, don't push that button. I'm like, no, I bet it's fine. I push the button. My wife has already told me she has to use the restroom in a bad way because she's pregnant. And that button shut down the whole complex. It was a fire button, unmarked, at eye level for an ADHD person who just has to know. And I pushed that button, and it shut the whole thing down. Like, you could not get into the building, and she had to use the restroom. And me, as a young idiot at 25 at the time, still, I took off on her ran. I was like, I am done with I know there's consequences coming. I was out. And my wife still loves me, I think.
I think she does. She talks favorably about you some.
Yeah, I think maybe she has Stockholm syndrome. I mean, like, after a little while, she just like, this is life. I'm gonna have to be okay with it.
That's pretty awesome.
I shut down the whole facility, not just the building that we were in. All the other buildings got shut down. Nope, there were no accessible restrooms. My wife had to waddle over to the main building and into the main floor, where there was one that was not behind a door.
Ma'am, are you selling those watermelons?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Did you pay for those?
She was so passionate about the Mary Kay stretch mark cream. Now I know.
We know the inside scoop here now.
Yeah, I have not yet lived that down. I mean, if you bring that up to her, she will like.
Yeah, I don't think
her eyes will turn colors, and she will get like, "Oh, I hate my husband," but she actually still does love me.
They're pretty serious about some things like that.
Yeah, when you have to go to the bathroom, and you don't mess with people.
A buddy of mine I grew up with. We went to Little Rock one time. I don't know what we were doing down there. We stayed all night in a hotel. We were young guys and young and dumb, but sometime in the middle of the night, we went up. We went out into the hallways on 4 or 5 floors of that hotel, and took every globe off of every hallway light and filled the elevator up with them, and then we went back to bed.
Nice.
I don't know why we did that.
Oh, I've got a good one.
Okay.
Why does this? We may never get off the front porch today.
Our listener friend Suzanne told me.
We may never get off the front porch.
She didn't like the front porch being short.
Back in the day when I was in RAs, we all go to Memphis for an RA conference. And there's this high-rise building, and then about 4 floors below us, there's the, I guess the roof over the pool. Mm-hmm. Well, it has tar and this pea gravel on it.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be a great idea to fill up a trash bag full of water and drop it out 4 floors. And son, when it hit that gravel, it shot that gravel back on all the windows on that floor. It sounded like a machine gun went off. It was like boom, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh my gosh, they were on us like white
How
on
bad
rice,
was the spanking?
man. It was bad. Yeah, we got in trouble for that.
Gosh, though, wasn't it fun?
It was. I'm still talking about it.
Innocent fun.
Yep.
Okay, so that was exciting. I thought
Good times.
I thought it might all just kind of lay there, but you guys came home with the goods once again. So, okay, that's a longer front porch visit for our friend Suzanne. Hope you're satisfied with that, and we'll do our best to make the front porch as enjoyable for you as we can. And ourselves too. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Talk about some stuff we found in the Bible. Hope you stay with us. Hey, welcome back. HD, say something about the Bible that amazes you.
Here's something amazing.
Okay.
Over about 1,500 years, written by over 40 different authors from all different backgrounds, and they're all saying the same thing.
3 continents.
Pretty amazing.
Right?
And it was transcribed and handed over here and over there, and it all wound up saying the same stuff.
Yep.
Thank you. I always like to hear something a little bit fascinating, because it fascinates me. The Bible fascinates me. It really does. It puts me on a guilt trip sometimes, and then sometimes it fascinates me. I guess that's what it's meant to do, isn't it?
Think so.
There you go. Talk about some stuff you found in the Bible, fellas.
So, character is not just who you are when somebody's looking. Character is who you are at your core. Character is you're not being nice in front of your potential girlfriend or boyfriend's parents, but you're being nice to that person, that girl or guy that you're interested in. You're being nice to them when nobody else is looking. You're treating them the way that you should. That's character, right? It's not just doing the right thing when your boss is looking. I'm trying to do the right thing. It's doing the right thing when your boss isn't looking. That's character. It's just who you are. And it's either that's good character. Bad character is, you make believe. You play nice when it suits you, and then you're really not that way. There's this guy, Peter, and he was one of the 12 disciples. He was actually likely the oldest disciple. He was the one that Jesus, he said, cast your net out. You're going to catch a fish. It'll have a coin in there that'll cover your temple tax and my temple tax. So he was probably likely one of the oldest disciples, and he was one of the leaders of the disciples. He wrote a couple of books in the New Testament, and one of the ones that he wrote was 1 Peter chapter 1. And it kind of talks a little bit about this idea of character. And character is not just what you do when somebody's looking, it's who you are at your core. Good character is when your boss is looking, you're doing the right thing. When your boss isn't looking, you're doing the right thing. Bad character is when you're in front of your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents, you're acting all civil and nice. And bad character is when they're not there, you're doing dumb stuff that you shouldn't be doing. And so Peter talks a little bit about that in 1 Peter chapter 1. I'm going to start in verse 13. I'm just going to mention a couple things. And it says there, therefore, with your minds ready for action, be serious and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As children, do not be conformed to the desires of your former ignorance. But as the one who called you is holy, you also are to be holy in your conduct. For it is written, be holy because I am holy. There's a couple of things I want to point out. The first thing is, he talks a lot about making sure that your mind is ready. And the way that we make sure our mind is ready, there's a computer programming phrase, garbage in, garbage out. If you make bad computer code, you're going to get bad results in the program that you're writing. And it's the same way with us. We're like the most advanced computer that there ever will be. If you fill your mind with junk, what goes out is going to be junk. I mean, you have to make sure that your mind is ready, that your mind is right, so that you can act right. When you act wrong, it's just a result of who you are at your core. That's actually your core coming out. And you just have to make sure that you're filling your mind with Christ so that you can think rightly about things. There's this description of how sin affects us. It's called the noetic effect of sin. And what that means is sin affects every part of who you are and what you do and what you think, so much so that it even affects the way that you think about sin. And the only way that you can have good character is that God has come in and he has changed your mind about sin. Before Christ, I had a character where I was like, I'll do whatever I want. If it's funny, I'll get a laugh. And now I'll do the same thing, but I'll put a limit on the stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And I'll make sure that it kind of lines up with who Jesus is. So it talks about that. You got to make sure that your mind is right so that you can have good character. And it says, set your hope completely on the grace that comes through Jesus. If it's on me and my character for me to be saved, man, I'm in a bad state. It's not good. I'm not good. Nobody knows what's going on in my head except for me. And if everybody knew what was going on in my head, they would be ashamed. They're like, that is not the Jason that I see all the time. And so my hope isn't in me thinking right, acting right, feeling right about situations. It's that God has made all things right because there's hope in Jesus. And he says it's really about your former ignorance, the desires of your former ignorance. So character comes down to when Jesus intersects your life, he makes a change in you that you could not make in you. He makes a change in you that is permanent. He makes a change that changes everything about you, the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you act. It changes your heart. You were dead, now you're alive. And as a result of that, it changes your character. And it was your former desires that lead you to do things you shouldn't be doing. But God can change that about you. And so Peter, one of the craziest disciples, he would do all kinds of crazy stuff. He was the guy that chopped somebody's ear off in the garden. And then Jesus had to be like, hey, let's not do that right now. Let me put his ear back on. It's pretty cool.
Right now. Let's do that right now.
There's a time for everything, and now is not the time. Let's put that ear back on, Malchus. Here you go. Come on. And the character of Peter was marked by his intersection with Jesus. And I think that the more time we spend with Jesus, the more that our character lines up with his.
And that's the cool thing about Peter. You talk about a great character study. We have a lot of his information, not only in the Gospels, but then he writes these books, 1st, 2nd Peter, and we can see how he's matured. We see in the book of Acts how he's the leader that will preach the day of Pentecost. But I love back in Matthew's Gospel where Jesus is coming to his disciples, and he's been performing miracles and doing stuff, and he says, who do people say that I am? And they give all the answers. Oh, you could be Elijah, you could be one of the other prophets like Jeremiah. And then he gets real personal, and he looks really at Peter, and he says, who do you say that I am? And Peter says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus, it's almost like he is just applauding because he's been teaching these guys and they miss it so much. But in that moment, Peter is just honest about who Jesus is. And he says, look, this is a blessing because that didn't come out of your head. That came from heaven. And from that moment on, we begin to see how Peter really is transformed and changed. Yes, he left his nets and he followed Jesus and he saw the miracles. But I think it's in that moment of that confession of who is Christ to him, then we begin to see him change and become the apostle that he will become. And so, one of the things that we all have to ask ourselves, have we had that moment in our life? Has there been that moment in our life when we answered that question, who is Jesus? Because he can't be just some historical character. He can't be just somebody I read about in the Bible. He has to be this person that I have a personal relationship with him. So I thought, maybe an interesting thing to talk about just real briefly. When was that moment, or one of those moments in your life? You may have had multiple moments, but when was that moment in your guys' life where you're like, yeah, this is who Jesus is in my life?
I remember, man, I was super young. I remember we were leaving church. We didn't go to church a whole lot when I was younger. My mom kind of grew up in a family that spent time in church. And my dad kind of grew up in a family that didn't really spend time in church. And so you had that tension, one wanting to not go and one wanting to go. And it was one of those times that we did go. And I remember my mom asking me the question. She said, Jason, have you trusted Jesus as your Savior? Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to her, yes. And I remember knowing what that meant to the fullest extent that somebody at a young age can know. And I had to have been somewhere around 5 or 6. And it's amazing. You have these spiritual milestones in your life. And that was one of those spiritual milestones that I can look back and say, I know at an early age that God intersected my life and made me different. Because then you go on and you do stupid stuff.
What?
Lived in Colorado for a while. And,
really?
There was a time period where I was starting to hang out with some friends that I probably was beginning to do stuff I shouldn't do. And if we had continued there, I might have ended up somewhere I shouldn't have. And then we moved back to Texas. And there was a pastor that really poured into my life. And it was about the time I turned 16 that I became I did believer's baptism. I had never been baptized, and so I got baptized as a believer at that age. And that was a spiritual milestone in my life where Jesus just intersected my life and made an impact right then and there. And then there was a time I was called to ministry, and he made a huge impact in my life. And he reminded me that this life I live, this character that I present to other people, it can't be two different people. It's got to be the same person. And you got to be very careful about that character that you're showing other people. Because in James it says, not many of you should presume to be teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach are judged more strictly. And the greater your influence, the greater your responsibility to display Christ.
I'm like every other day, he's showing me how much he thinks about me because I'm a kind of a loose cannon in a way.
No.
Yeah. Compared to some people, I kind of walk a little different trail, and common sense would I think maybe take a look at my life and think, why are you still even alive, and why are you even why are you still able to be a part of regular society? it's really a deep thought I'm getting to here, but it's like I was sitting there while you guys were talking, trying to think about this time where he impacted my whole world. And there are a couple of markers where, like when I was in my mid-30s, where he pretty well showed me that nothing I was ever going to do was going to work apart from him. And so there's that very, very stark marker. I think that's kind of part of what you guys are talking about. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about more so than these big event markers, that like in recent years especially, it's like every day or two I have a conversation with him before I go to sleep at night. A lot of times I fall asleep during that conversation, but full disclosure, but it always includes me being astounded. Why you go ahead and treat me so good? Yeah. Why do you, and I'm being honest here about this, I do understand, but I don't. It's like the things I do and the things, like you were talking earlier, the things I think and how I really am, you know, when nobody's around. And then to think it at night, he still allows me this, he still allows me that, and I would say he allows me a lot of experiences in my world. Always has and still does. I know why. It's because he does like me and wants me to know that, and I do know that. I'm still very stupid. I'm extremely stupid. In fact, anybody I've ever seen since I've been involved in church stuff who has tried to indicate that they had this all figured out and they were,
beware.
I'm not just a beware of them. I can just see right through them like a piece of saran wrap. You don't have this figured out. Yep. You don't have the answers. Nobody walking on the planet has them. We're all fools. Yep. We'll be fools till we die. And there's somebody way bigger than us who has it figured out for us. And that's, I guess what long story short, what I realize more and more is that he does have this figured out for me. I don't always understand that, and it bewilders me, but I do more and more trust that, you know, in fact, in weird situations in my world, I can see where he's going to work these things out if I don't get in the way. But the truth is, there are times I get in the way and he still works it out. And it makes me look at him and go, what? How can you do that for me being who I am? Yeah. So I have lots of these markers that we're talking about. And just trying to figure out who he is, honestly, I don't know.
Isn't that the cool part? That Jesus looked at Peter and said, who do you say that I am? And he looked at you, Michael, and he said, who am I in your world, Michael? And he looked at Jason, and he looked at me. You know, we've all had those moments. Then, almost like a young child, we go from that, and then we go do something stupid again. And he still loves us. He still cares for us, and he is working those things out in spite of us, you know. Peter's life, I mean, my gosh, this is the guy who says, thou art the Christ. And then just a little bit later, Jesus is like, okay, glad that's been revealed to you. So you know I'm fixing to go to Jerusalem and die. And he says, no, you're not. And then Jesus goes, get from behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan. You know, so he goes from praising him to spanking him, literally. And that's my life, and that's your life. And so, you know, I guess what I want everybody to hear is there is no such thing called being a super Christian. There is no such thing as I got saved and I never sinned again. I never thought any bad thoughts. I never did any stupid stuff again. Being saved is about a relationship with God. And you're going to have some really good days. You know, Jason talking about these things in his life. Great days. Great days that God would put you on your back in a hotel room and go, okay, sucker, who do you say that I am? And great day. And then you're going to have some really bad days when you look back and go, why am I so dumb? You know, being in ministry now for a while, I've walked through some really dark places with people that I don't have a doubt they're a Christian, but they've done some really bad stuff. And you start asking yourself, why? And you know why they did it? Because they had the opportunity to do it. I mean, we're just that susceptible. We're that weak.
We're that dumb.
We're that dumb. Absolutely.
To say it
Absolutely. We're that
bluntly.
dumb. And what makes us a Christian is not that we've done everything right. What makes us a Christian is that he's our Savior. He's our Father. He's our friend. We have a blood connection. And so I just want people to understand that, because you're going to have doubts, you're going to have fears, you're going to have frustrations, you're going to have failures. And all those things don't take away the relationship. Even when we're jerks, he still loves us.
Amazing.
And he's working these things out for us, going before us. And you see that all in Peter's life. I mean, he gets to the end of the journey, and he is really talking about, hey, your salvation that's more precious than gold, it's being refined, which basically says you're going to go through some hot spots. You're going to go through some moments, and it's going to hurt, but it's so that your faith can be refined, and so that not that you can prove to God how good you are. I think it's to prove to ourselves. You know, when we didn't say those words that we wanted to say, that we didn't punch that guy that we wanted to punch, that we watched part of that movie we shouldn't watch, but we turned it off and it's like, why did I do even part of that? That's our faith being refined. We're becoming more and more like him through our day-to-day existence. And some days it's mountaintop experiences. Other days you would be embarrassed to know if that got shown on the big screen at church. Yeah. But that's what being a follower of Christ is. It's he's got us even when we let go. Let's just be honest. So many people think it's about me holding on to my salvation. If my eternal security is based on me,
trouble.
My goodness.
You know, there's one of the things that helps me is Greek philosophy. It's kind of one of the things that can help us understand stuff. And one of the ways that they conceive of time is that God is outside time. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that they conceive this is God is outside time, and time is happening all around God. And he is able to see all of time at any one point. I mean, he exists outside of time. So he can see time in my life there. He can see time in my life there. He can see time in my life that's going to happen over there. He sees all of it. And I want to give people hope in this right here. It's not as if your sin catches God off guard. When he saved you, he knew how dumb you had been. He knew how sinful you were in that moment. And he knew all the stupid things you're going to do in the future as well. And he still chose to love you. It's not as if your sin catches God off guard. It's not as if your salvation is based on your righteousness. It is because God has done something right in you. He has made your relationship with God right by his sacrifice on the cross, because he loves you. Not because you're good, not because you're worth it, not because you're worthy, but because he is. He is good.
And doesn't that even speak to the lost person today?
Should.
You can't sit there and look at your own life and say, even God can't fix this. Because if you're thinking God thoughts, if you're thinking heaven, if you're even thinking about saying, I want to say that statement, I want to say, Jesus, you are the Christ. I want you in my life. If you're even thinking that, you know what's happening? God's trying to get you to say that and believe that, because he does know all your crap. He does know all your junk, and he loves you anyway. And it's not even, I don't think, Jason, and you may disagree, but I don't think it's because he can look down the road and see that, oh, you're going to become all this. He loves you right where you are right now. He doesn't like the decisions you've made and the mistakes that you've made and the heartache that you've caused yourself and him. But he loves you right there.
You know what? I don't think, I think if you're thinking you've been looking for him, you've got it backwards. He's been looking for you.
He's been chasing you.
If you're thinking all that, it seems to me like he might have found you.
Yep.
And you might have found him.
Yep.
Be a good place to kind of get together right there.
You know, and one thing, God loves you where you are. He does. But there's so much more hope than that.
Yep.
He wants to love you beyond where you are.
Yep.
if you're going through some crap right now, he loves you. He loves you where you are. He says, doesn't matter if you got a needle in your arm. I love you. I want to love you beyond that.
Yep.
It's so much better.
Yep.
It is always worth it. It's always, always, always in your best interest to trust and follow God.
Some of these Christian people are happy, it seems like.
Yeah. Peter was never the same. Jason was never the same.
I'll tell you, he wasn't in the garden cutting people's ears off anymore.
Yeah, not right now anyway.
Mike Jackson.
Maybe next time.
Michael Jackson was never the same. And even what we do right now, we're doing this because we want to share it with other people. What God has shown us, we want to share with other people.
Yeah. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself and just be happy. But it's worth sharing. It's
we could go to Hardee's and talk about our hotel experiences, but we want to talk about it with others that need to hear the hope that's in the gospel.
Join us is what I would say.
That's right. Yep. Sounds good, my friend.
We'll be back.
Hey everybody, it's time to play America's almost favoriteest new game show, Inny or Outty, where we challenge our guests to figure out if a phrase we give them is actually in the Bible or out of the Bible. Sharpen your wits, guest. You're about to be in the hot seat of Bible stuff, because you're the next contestant on Inny or Outty. Here's Mike.
Today on Inny or Outty, I'm assuming a power seat. It just feels good to have a little power once in a while. Jason is filling the other power seat.
I just see you in a little jazzy. My power seat.
Yeah. A little jazzy power seat. I
Okay.
joke with a friend of mine about having a recliner that I
Sorry.
don't have to get up out of. It has a motor and I drive it to the refrigerator and back.
This is just an aside. It's a quick story.
Okay.
So
just an aside.
at our church property, we have fields for upward football, and we had an older gentleman at our church that was kind of walking around doing some looking, and I think he was just trying to get some exercise in. And then he gets to this one part of our property, and he looks in the bushes and he sees a jazzy. And like he's getting unnerved. He's like, is there somebody that is on the other side of that jazzy? Is somebody wrecked? Is there a dead body out there or something? And so he comes in and gets us, and we go out there and we investigate a little bit. And police are called out. They do some looking around and everything. And lo and behold, it has a positive end to it. The power seat, somebody had stolen this guy's jazzy, and then we were able to help return it. But
It's a crime wave in White House, Tennessee.
That's
Okay.
what crime looks like in
I
the
have
town
to
that we
fess
live
up
in.
here. I have
It
no
was you?
idea what a jazzy is.
It's the motorized seat.
Motorized
The
wheelchair.
Wheelchair.
I had no idea that's what they're called.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought that was why
No.
you're using the word jazzy.
No, I had
Jazzy,
no
hover
idea.
around, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call
Oh, I was jazzy just meant something
it.
else.
Back to
me.
Inny and Outty. Inny or Outty.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yes.
Is the word stiff-necked in the Bible?
How long do you want this one to last?
Oh man, you got the okay. You got 3 or 4 minutes.
Like masseuse, like you went to get your neck fixed.
I don't know.
Okay.
Just that exact phrase. Is that in the Bible?
Stiff-necked.
Stiff-necked. It sounds like something you would say in a sermon.
Oh, it does.
HT.
Definitely does. Yeah.
It does have kind of a religious tone to it.
I thought it just had kind of a redneck tone to it.
Is redneck in it? Never mind. We're stiff-necked people.
Stiff-necked.
You're a stiff-necked people.
Did we already do is redneck in the Bible?
I don't know.
Have we not ever brought that up?
I don't know that we have.
You know what? If it is, it'd be hilarious.
That would be pretty.
It'd be
It's probably like in
absolutely-
the Cotton Patch Gospel.
You know what? We would make national news if we discovered that redneck was in the Bible and we brought it out.
We probably would. We would probably be heretical because I think they have better documents
Probably.
somewhere.
Stiff-necked, gentlemen. Is that phrase? I guess it would be like a hyphenated word, maybe stiff-necked.
What do you think the word stiff-necked means?
Well, I'm asking the question. I can't help you all with the answer.
Yeah, can you use that in a sentence and a
I
scripture
have
reference?
my neck fused together. I mean, does that make me stiff-necked? Is that what it's talking about?
I wouldn't think so if it was in Scripture. I'm not helping you.
probably
I'm
not
just
that.
saying that it was just a thought in response to your thought.
Yeah.
I do know there's several terms, especially in the Old Testament, when God talks about his people and how stubborn they are, and That's my gut on this one. Stiff-necked is kind of one of those terms that makes me think that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's Michael Jackson, so
But you're sitting beside an encyclopedia.
I know,
so
right?
You're in.
He knows which version of the Bible it's in that he read.
He does.
It's not in the Message.
I believe it's in there a lot.
Is
Oh,
it
really?
Yeah.
more than the word Christian?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in there more than Christian.
Really?
I
Yeah.
believe so, yeah.
So we're
The way you said that is making me question, but I'm pretty sure that's in there. Like, probably, I think he says it about Pharaoh. He says it about Israel repeatedly in reference to being stubborn and rebellious. Yeah.
So you don't think that could be a more modern term
Well, maybe a modern translation of the
original term?
language, but I think it
the original said.
Yeah, they just put a hack.
it sounds like
sound in
they're
there.
hawking a belugi or something.
Right, Hakalugi
So
sound.
we're Inny on this, you think?
Yeah, Inny.
You were both innies?
I'll ride in the Ricciardi limo.
Let me don my reading glasses here. I read to you from Exodus 34:9. Lord, he said, if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin.
There you go.
And take us as your inheritance. Yeah, it's a
Stiff.
win.
All right.
All right.
Woo.
Winner, winner.
Last week
chicken
was
dinner.
last week was rough.
It
Well,
was
last
not
week
good.
we were half
Hey, we're
and
above
half, weren't we?
500 over the last 3 weeks so
I
far.
need a little redemption there.
But now I remember a few weeks ago we
Yeah,
we
it was
won
bad.
straight across the board.
We did.
Okay, so
I like
all
that.
right.
That's a good phrase.
Yep.
That's
Stiff-necked. It's just odd.
it is, but it's a great picture of how we respond to God.
Well,
We bow up.
that passage was
Yeah.
talking about not being willing to, I guess, admit and ask for forgiveness. And
Yeah.
we were just,
It's like a petulant teenager bowing up to their father when they ask him to do something.
sort
Stiff-necked.
of, yeah.
I ain't gonna do that. What, you gonna make me? I mean, that's kind of the picture. It's a great word picture.
Petulant.
What?
He said the word petulant.
Sorry.
He did. We'll look that up later. You and I get to go. and look that
Educational.
up. Okay, who's Jason? Are you the?
Yeah, I got something.
Let's do this, H. We got this.
Bring it on home.
This is a challenging one. Could be potentially.
Okay.
Yay.
Yes.
Practice what you preach.
Oh, wow.
That's a challenge. That's challenging.
Practice what you preach.
Man. Yeah, that's a challenging one.
That is.
Because automatically it sounds modern.
Well, and it sounds biblical.
See? All at the same time. Any number of guys could have said that in the Bible.
Yes.
That's a pretty generic statement there, but it covered all the
Maybe
bases.
even up to 40 different people could have said it in the Bible.
It could be in either the Old or New Testament.
See? Well, that's narrowing it down.
But it would be an Outty if it was in the intertestamental period.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Practice
What you
what you preach. What's your gut saying on this one?
Audi. My gut says Audi.
Not just a car?
Huh?
Not just a car?
Nope. The reason my gut says Audi is because it sounds so modern, like, hey, you need to practice what you preach over there.
Yeah.
I can't see them
But I'm
sitting around
like,
camels at night telling each other,
Gosh.
you need to practice what you preach over there.
we need to read the Bible more.
Yeah, there's some honesty for you, folks. Well, we got dude here that reads it once every year.
I need some of that. What is that herb you can take that makes you remember things?
Ginkgo biloba?
Yeah,
What?
Binka bilobi. Yeah, if I had some of that, I'd know all these
I
things.
know there was such a
I
thing.
don't either.
I don't know how well it works, but they
I know
tout
there's
it
stuff
as
in
a-
jellyfish that they Prevagen or something.
Yes.
It's something they originally found in
Yes.
jellyfish.
Yes.
Now
Oh,
listen,
'cause
there's a thought here. Every time I hear that, I'm thinking, every time I go to the beach, there's jellyfish that aren't smart enough to
Right.
get back in the water and they're dead, and they're taking something out of that and telling me that that's going to be
That's
good,
a good
for
point.
my memory.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
When they
I'm
couldn't
just-
remember how to get back to the.
I think it every time I see that Prevagen commercial. I'm going like, maybe you need to find something else in something else that can remember.
Like an elephant.
Yes, they can. So what was the original
Well,
Practice.
can I say 2 fun trivia
Sure.
about like jellyfish?
Sure.
I could be wrong on this, but I think
I opened this can.
yeah, sorry. I could be wrong on this, but I think that they've actually like jellyfish are almost like you can go on living indefinitely. And it may be related to that. I think, if I remember right, it's jellyfish that can do that. But also jellyfish, if they have a tentacle ripped off, the other ones will adjust so that it doesn't swim off balance.
That's pretty smart.
And yet they end up on the
The
sand.
beach,
Yeah,
and
and
you
they
can
can't
poke them
get
with a
back in the
stick,
water.
and you know.
Yeah.
No, I want to. Sorry.
Are you sure?
Well, I got 4 or 5 thoughts all at once that try to come out, but I want to meet the guy that extracted whatever that is out of that jellyfish and thought that would be good for your brain.
Yeah.
I want to meet that guy. Practice what you preach.
Practice
I bet he's
what you
smart.
preach.
My gut says Outty, but just only because of the modern sound or tone of that
I
phrase.
can honestly say it. I think it's in there, but I don't know. All right, let's go with out, just because I'm tired. I'm ready to lose
Jason?
and get this episode over with.
Jason, we're an Outty. After our deep
Yeah.
discussion, that's how we got there.
Yeah, with
Outty.
confidence, we say we're out.
We're Outty. He's looking something up.
Well, let me find a second.
One of the many. Let me just zero
Well,
in
here,
on
if I
one
can
of
Google it, I'll tell you.
No, it's Matthew 23:3. Matthew 23:3. It says.
It sounds like something Matthew would say if it was said at all.
Therefore, do whatever they tell you and observe it, but don't do what they do because they don't practice what they
See.
teach.
Oh.
Ah,
It's not exactly what it says.
yes. So I think it may be a win coming right
Yep.
here.
They preach but do not practice is another translation. So it is,
So that phrase, practice what
I
you
believe all of the translations I looked at, it does not say the exact phrase, practice what you preach.
preach. Yes.
Out. That was an intentionally tricky one.
That
was
You
very
guys
tricky.
did not.
Thank you.
You
And
did not
that's-
trip over it though.
That's one of those phrases that I like to do on Inny or Outty because
You hear it a
people
lot.
toss it around a lot,
Yep.
and you can be led to believe that that's in the Bible.
See, now this is going to be in my head, and the next time I want to say that,
Yes.
I'm going to stop and I'm going to go,
Wait a
is
minute.
this right or
How
this
did
is
it go?
wrong?
You're
Yeah.
going to do what I did a little bit ago,
Yeah.
trying to,
Yeah.
and we're going to take great delight in it
This,
when you do that,
you're welcome.
knowing where that came
Right?
from.
Right?
Okay, we're going to take a little break, come back, and tell you goodbye in a nice, proper fashion.
Oh, wow. What a great contestant and a fine sport today on Inny or Outty, America's almost favorite new game show. Study up, future guest people. You're next in the hot seat for Inny or Outty.
You know, it's so nice to get together with folks and just chat. And I feel like that's what we do here on Mike the Baptist. I feel like we're chatting with people. I don't see them, but I just feel like they're there and we're chatting with them. And
You know, that was a smooth intro. I just thought you were having conversation with us, but you were
See?
having conversation with the listeners.
yes, this is a little
Thousands
trick
and
of
thousands
job.
of people.
trick of the trade. Thousands.
Yes.
Maybe millions.
You never
we don't
know.
know.
No.
Because I have not learned how to
And since this is
check on the stats. As
since
they
this
say.
is boinging off the satellites out there, there
Right.
could be aliens listening
That's
to
exactly
this.
right. So if
Yeah.
you're picking this up because it's being boinged off
Thanks
a
for the
satellite
tape.
somewhere.
Thanks for alien tape. We really enjoy that.
Anyway, we're glad you joined us, whether you're listening to us or not. We're glad you're there. So hope you join us again. Thanks, HD and Jason.
Thanks for the invite.
Being here and having a nice little friendly chat. And hope there was a couple of things you might picked up on there that are of benefit. That would be a great thing if you actually got something out of this, wouldn't it?
It would make us feel better about ourselves.
It would make us feel a little better about ourselves. That's what Inny or Outty does, is you get to feeling really good about yourself in the middle, and then Inny or Outty comes up and you're going like, I don't know.
Man, there's some of the ones that we have done on Inny or Outty that have just been like,
What?
I feel like I am an idiot.
Yes. That's the one thing about Inny or Outty that is a little to struggle to know how mentally to think about that, but it's so much fun and interesting, and I think beneficial.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll know someday.
What if we play this in heaven? I mean, because we're not going to have perfect knowledge in heaven.
I'll let you know this. If we
Wow.
play this in heaven, I am not playing against God.
Well, no.
I'm going to kind of stay in the
Yeah.
back of the crowd. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm going to let somebody else look like a fool.
Hey, see you next time. We're just Christians.
Try not to cuss.
Sure are trying not to.
That was smooth.
Not that we're trying to. We're not
you know,
trying
You know
to.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See you next time.
Mike the Baptist.